Indira Gandhi, the Iron Lady who led India. The first and only female Prime Minister of India, Indira Gandhi, described as the woman to whom the gods have entrusted the destiny of India, is also the second longest running PM of India. Named the Woman of the Millennium, Indira Gandhi had a strong personality. She was a complex woman whose leadership in India has repercussions to this day. Indira Gandhi's life was steeped in politics, whose parents were role models for her. A true epitome of women empowerment, Indira Gandhi led a nation filled with diverse sentiments and differences. Being an intelligent woman, her insights and opinions were remarkable. To have broken the shackles of tradition and stereotypes which still prevails in our country is truly great. Her leadership and enthusiasm inspires millions. The women in our country are yet to live and lead in a way she did. She stood tall, at par with the men, leading the nation and becoming the Iron Lady of India. Formative years. Indira Priyadarshini Gandhi was born on 19 November 1917 in the politically influential Nehru family. Her father, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, was a leader of the Indian nationalist movement and the first Prime Minister of independent India. Indira was the only child of Jawaharlal Nehru and Kamla Nehru. She had a younger brother who died young. She grew up at Anand Bhavan, the Nehru family residence in Allahabad, amidst political activity. Her grandfather Motilal Nehru was an early independence activist. The Nehrus were affluent Kashmiri Pandits. Though Indira was brought up in the luxury of Anand Bhavan, she was emotionally disturbed and never experienced a stable family during her childhood. Her father was often jailed because of his involvement in the freedom struggle. She had limited contact with her father, mostly through letters. Her mother Kamla was ailing for years and finally succumbed to tuberculosis when Indira was 18 years old. Indira spent part of her childhood in Allahabad and part in Switzerland, where her mother was receiving medical treatment. Education. Indira was taught mainly at home by tutors and attended school intermittently until she enrolled in 1934. She was a student of the Modern School of Delhi, the conventual schools of Santa Cecilia and Santa Maria in Allahabad, the International School from Geneva, the École Nouvelle in Bex, and the Pupils' School itself in Pune and Bombay. She then went on to study at Vishwa Bharati in Shantiniketan, which became Vishwa Bharati University in 1951. It was during her interview with him that Rabindranath Tagore called her Priyadarshini, literally looking at everything with kindness, and she became to be known as Indira Priyadarshini Nehru. Indira continued the education of her in the University of Oxford to take care of the sick mother of her in Europe. After her mother's death, she attended badminton school for a brief period before enrolling at Somerville College in 1937 to study history. Marriage. In 1942, Indira married Firoz Gandhi, a Parsi man she met in Europe. Firoz was also a member of the Indian National Congress and took an active part in the Quit India movement. He became an MP in 1952. They had two sons, Rajiv Gandhi and Sanjay Gandhi. Firoz Gandhi died in 1960 following a heart attack. Political activity. Initial steps. She was grown up amidst fierce examples of freedom struggles set by her family, setting a great example in front of her. At the age of 5, she carried out her first rebellion against colonial rule by sacrificing her favorite doll made in England. She threw her doll into a bonfire of foreign imported goods. As a young girl, Indira created the Vanar Sena movement, or the Monkey Brigade, for boys and girls in Allahabad to lead resistance against the British colonial rule. The Sena often held protests and rallies with the support of Indian National Congress. The group grew to include 60,000 young revolutionaries. In later years, while studying in Somerville College, Oxford, Indira was in regular touch with her father through letters and kept updated herself with the political situation of the homeland. She also became a member of the radical pro-independence London-based Indian League. In the 1950s, Indira, after her marriage, served her father unofficially as a personal assistant during his tenure as the first Prime Minister of India. Center stage. During 1959 to 1960, Indira Gandhi was elected the President of the Indian National Congress. In 1964, she was appointed a member of the Rajya Sabha Upper House. After Jawaharlal Nehru's death in 1964, the new Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri urged her to contest elections and join the government. Accordingly, she was appointed the Minister of Information and Broadcasting. After Shastri's death in 1966, Indira became the fifth Prime Minister of India and the first woman to hold that position. Indira Gandhi formed her government with Morarji Desai as Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance. At the beginning of her first term as Prime Minister, she was widely criticized by the media and the opposition for being a Gungi Gudiya, means puppet, of the congressional party leaders who had orchestrated her choice and then tried to restrain her. Indira Gandhi was instrumental in bringing about the Green Revolution in the 1960s, which resulted in a tremendous increase in food production. She undertook several anti-poverty programs or Garibi Hatao programs. The Garibi Hatao slogan and the proposed anti-poverty programs that came with it were designed to give Gandhi independent national support based on the rural and urban poor. India was victorious in the 1971 Indo-Pak War and it resulted in the birth of Bangladesh. Indira Gandhi's biggest achievement following the 1971 election came in December 1971 with India's decisive victory over Pakistan in the Indo-Pakistani War that occurred in the last 2 weeks of the Bangladesh Liberation War. Gandhi signed the Shimla Agreement with the new Pakistan President Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, which bound the two countries to resolve the Kashmir dispute by peaceful means. In 1967, Gandhi introduced a constitutional amendment that guaranteed the de facto use of both Hindi and English as official languages. This established the official government policy of bilingualism in India and satisfied the non-Hindi speaking Indian states. A national nuclear program was started by Indira Gandhi in 1967 in response to the nuclear threat from China. In 1974, India successfully conducted an underground nuclear test unofficially named the Smiling Buddha near Pokhran in Rajasthan and became a nuclear power. She was re-elected as Prime Minister in 1971 and was in power till 1977. She became the Prime Minister for the third time in 1980 and held the post till her assassination on October 31, 1984. Verdict on electoral malpractice. On June 12, 1975, the Allahabad High Court declared Indira Gandhi's election to Lok Sabha in 1971 void for electoral misconduct. In an election petition filed by Raj Narayana, several major and minor cases of the use of government resources for the campaign were alleged. She testified in her defense during the trial. After almost 4 years, the court found her guilty of dishonest election practices, excessive election spending, and using the machinery of government and officials for partisan purposes. The court barred her from running her office for 6 years. However, she rejected calls to resign. After news of the verdict spread, hundreds of supporters demonstrated in front of her house, pledging their allegiance to her. State of Emergency 1975 to 1977. President Fakhruddin Ali Ahmad declared a state of emergency caused by internal disorder based on the provisions of Article 352 first of the Constitution on 25 June 1975 because of the disorder and lawlessness following the Allahabad High Court decision. In 1977, after extending the state of emergency twice, Gandhi called elections to give the electorate a chance to vindicate her rule. The Janata Alliance under the leadership of Morarji Desai came to power after the state of emergency was lifted. However, in the elections held in January 1980, Congress returned to power with a landslide majority. Operation Blue Star. During her third term as Prime Minister, problems surfaced in Punjab. Sikh separatists demanded an independent state called Khalistan. In June 1984, members of Jarnail Singh Bhindranwale's separatist group were camping and amassing weapons in the Golden Temple, the most important Sikh place of worship. Indira Gandhi ordered Operation Blue Star and the army attacked the temple complex to flush out terrorists. There were hundreds of casualties, including terrorists, soldiers, and civilians. The operation enraged Sikh separatists. SHAH Commission. The SHAH Commission was a commission of inquiry appointed by the Indian government in 1977 to investigate all the excesses committed during the Indian emergency from 1975 to 1977. It was headed by Justice J.C. Shah, a former Indian Chief Justice. President Fakhruddin Ali Ahmed, on the advice of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, declared a national emergency under Article 352 of the Indian Constitution, effectively granting her the power to rule by decree, suspending elections and civil liberties. It is one of the most controversial periods in the history of independent India. However, as for the circumstances under which the state of emergency was declared, the Commission found that there was no economic crisis or a crisis of law and order. The Commission concluded that the decision to impose a state of emergency was taken by Prime Minister Indira Gandhi alone, without consulting her cabinet colleagues, and was not at all justified. The Commission concluded that the decision to impose a state of emergency was taken by Prime Minister Indira Gandhi alone, without consulting her cabinet colleagues, and was not justified. The Commission concluded that during the emergency, the provisions of the Homeland Security Maintenance Act and India's defense rules were not followed but were abused to harm political opponents. In an interview with TVI in 1978, Indira Gandhi responded that the Shah's commission was biased and his conclusions were not true. She defended her opinion on the grounds that Judge Shah had already spoken out against many of her government's policies, including the nationalization of banks, and that most of the information about her perceived authority was false. Assassination. On October 31, 1984, two Sikh bodyguards, Satwant Singh and Beant Singh, shot her with a service weapon in the garden of the Prime Minister's residence at 1 Safdarganj Road in New Delhi, allegedly retaliating against Operation Blue Star. The shooting occurred as she was walking through the gates guarded by the two men. Beant shot her 3 times using the arm at his side, and Satwant fired 30 rounds. The men dropped their weapons and surrendered. Afterward, another guard led them to the closed room where Beant had been shot dead. Kehar Singh was arrested in later charges of conspiracy to attack. Both Satwant and Kehar were sentenced to death and hanged in Delhi's Tihar prison. Indira Gandhi was taken to All India Institutes of Medical Sciences and pronounced dead at 2:20 p.m. Her body was cremated according to Hindu tradition on 3 November near Rajghat. The site where her body was cremated today is known as Shakti Sthal. Views and opinions. Interested in a wide range of topics, she saw life as an integrated process, where activities and interests are different facets of the whole, not compartmentalized under different headings. She presided over 3 5-year plans as Prime Minister, 2 of which succeeded in meeting their targeted growth. The principle of equal pay for equal work for both men and women was enshrined in the Indian Constitution under the Indira Gandhi's administration. She claimed that only clear vision, iron will, and the strictest discipline can remove poverty. Honors and awards. Indira Gandhi had many honors and achievements to her credit. She was the recipient of Bharat Ratna in 1972, Mexican Academy Award for Liberation of Bangladesh in 1972, Second Annual Medal FAO in 1973, and Sahitya Vachaspati Hindi by Nagari Pracharini Sabha in 1976. She also received Mother's Award USA in 1953, Isabella d'Este Award of Italy for outstanding work in diplomacy, and Yale University's Howland Memorial Prize. For 2 consecutive years in 1967 and 1968, she was the woman most admired by the French according to a poll by French Institute of Public Opinion. Notable works. Her notable publications include The Years of Challenge from 1966 to 1969, The Years of Endeavour from 1969 to 1972, India, London in 1975, Inde, Lausanne in 1979, and numerous other collections of speeches and writings. Conclusion. Being the first woman Prime Minister of India and an influential leader, Indira Gandhi is a symbol of feminism in our country. A popular and charismatic leader, Indira Gandhi earned the goodwill of Indians, especially the rural population, who felt that she had a particular sympathy for their cause. The fierce lady who oversaw the birth of a new nation broke the traditional non-alliance stance of India and also broke the stigma of gender difference by standing tall and leading the largest democracy, a country with diverse culture and religious sentiments. She jeopardized her political future and chose to give economic stability and soundness to India. However, her internal policies made her mandate controversial and eventually turned her into a target of hatred. Still, Indira Gandhi continues to inspire millions and her contributions to nation building is remarkable. Her vision and leadership lead to the birth of a new era of development and modernization. She indeed is the Iron Lady of India.